We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Picking,
Here.
Olver,
Present.
Lapp,
Here.
Quattrito,
Here.
Bradshaw.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum, so we will proceed. Next item is approval of tonight's agenda. You have the agenda in front of you. We have 4 new business items. Is there anything else that anyone's aware of that needs to be on tonight's agenda, or any issues with the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, so a motion by Olver, second by Bicking to approve the agenda as prepared. Any further discussion?
I believe it's Bradshaw who was second.
Oh, was it Bradshaw? I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Make a correction, Bradshaw. I knew it was a sound from that end of the table. All right, if there's no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so agenda's been approved. Next item is approval of the minutes. We last met on March 17th. Are there any corrections to the March 17th minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Olver, second by Lapp to approve the minutes as submitted. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Next item is correspondence, board reports, presentations. As always, we start with a report from the Board of Trustees, and that would be Commissioner Olver.
Thank you, Chairman Squatrito. And a special thanks to all who made it to the joint board meeting last Wednesday at Jamison Hall. Chair Squatrito gave a wonderful update of the 2025 progress of the Planning Commission and had some good Q&A on that. Always good to get together and understand what all the boards are doing at least once a year. So appreciation to the staff for putting that together. At the trustee meeting on the 8th of April, we received an audit presentation for the 2025 fiscal year. It was 6 weeks earlier than usual, and Yo and Yo gave a clean audit opinion. So the finances of the township are in good shape and good order, and we appreciate Manager Stuhldreher and his team for the wonderful work that they do. A 40-acre parcel was approved for the Farmland and Open Space Preservation Program, Clump Holdings LLC. We did approve, after a rather lengthy and spirited discussion, artwork for the Jamison Park Fitness banner. Artist Andrea Croft had some beautiful renderings to share, and so that is moving forward. And then there was some adjustments to our State of Michigan State Revolving Fund. There's some additional funds left over into the project for the wastewater treatment plant. So that was approved. An additional about $256,000 in funding that's coming from the state allows us to use it as part of the ongoing project. So trustees meet again in this room in just under 24 hours. So I'll have another update for you after that.
Any questions from commissioners for Tom on Board of Trustees related matters? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you. Next item is updates from ZBA. I know you told us they are going to meet. I don't know if that's happened yet. I think that is that next month?
There is a meeting scheduled for June 11th.
Oh, June.
For sure.
Okay. Anything else on ZBA at the moment?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Thompson on anything related to ZBA? Okay, very good, thank you. Next item is we always take a dive into the Community and Economic Development Monthly Report. This is in our packets every month. Compendium of pretty much everything that's going on in the township, at least governmentally. And so we always give commissioners an opportunity to ask any questions that they might have had on anything they might have seen in the monthly report. Okay, hearing none, we can move on. If a question comes up, you can always direct it to Rodney at your convenience. Are there any other reports and/or correspondence that anyone's aware of that needs to come to our attention?
We do have the item from Mr. Shingles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Stan Shingles has submitted his resignation from the Planning Commission effective June 1st. Due to relocation. I don't know if that means he's going to attend the May meeting. I haven't
He is planning to be.
planned to attend at the May meeting. Okay, so we'll save the lavish praise and thanks for our June meeting or May meeting rather. But he served 2 stints on the Planning Commission. One fairly early on to my time, which would be in around 2010-ish, I think, maybe early in that period. And then he was off for a while, and then he came back. So cumulative, he's probably served more than 10 years, I would think. So, but so anyway, we'll have another opening. So if any commissioners are aware of individuals that you might think might be interested, anyone in the audience who might be interested in, there'll be an open position in the next few months here. Anything else? Reports, correspondence? Okay. So at every planning commission meeting, towards the front end of the meeting, we have a public comment that is restricted to non-agenda items. So if folks are here to discuss agenda items, they'll, those will come up as we go through them. But this is a public comment restricted to 3 minutes regarding items not on this agenda. If anyone would like to address the Planning Commission on a non-agenda item, if they're in the room, come to the podium, give us your name and address for the minutes, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If anyone is listening online and wants to speak, raise your hand or otherwise make yourself known, and we'll make sure that you're able to speak. Public comment is open at 7:08. And seeing no mad dashes to the podium, we'll assume people are here for other purposes. One of those rare occasions where the audience outnumbers the commission, but and there's no one online at this time. Okay. So we'll go ahead and close public comment back up. There'll be an extended public comment on any item towards the end of the meeting. All right, so we're ready to move on to new business items. As I mentioned, we have 4 of them. The first one is preliminary site plan 26-02. The applicant is, or the application is for the Mount Pleasant water treatment plant upgrades at 4195 South Lincoln and 1775 East Broomfield. So we'll have introduction from Rodney, we'll hear from the applicant, and then we will review the site plan and deliberate and take action.
Well, thank you. Everyone should have a copy of our report dated April the 9th. As was mentioned, this is changes to the City of Mount Pleasant's water treatment facilities that are in the township. As noted in our report, they've actually been working on a number of things there, some of which we were able to take care of earlier through a minor site plan process, which is administrative approval. The scope of this set of improvements that you see on the site plan were such that it was more extensive, requires this preliminary final site plan process, which is what brings it to your attention. As was mentioned, there are 2 sites. They are not contiguous. One, the island site is in Burke Drive at the river, and then the main water treatment plant is, of course, on South Lincoln River.
south of Broomfield Road. And we're treating it as one project, one site plan. There's no reason to separate them. It really is just one project in two locations, essentially. And so you have our report. We did note this is, as we've seen several times recently, it's what our ordinance calls a non-conforming site. Simply means it was developed many years ago before the current zoning ordinance site development standards were in place. That puts it under the section 12.5, which essentially narrows the scope of review. That we look at any public safety deficiencies, we want those to be corrected, and then essentially there's kind of a menu of site improvements that the applicant can choose from, essentially to we ask at least 3 of the categories we covered. But in doing that, we're not looking at all of the site development standards, really only narrowly focused on those items that are on their list. In this case, there were no public safety deficiencies on the site, which is not a surprise because municipal site, very well maintained. And the applicant has identified in the plans 3 areas they're working in. Some landscape improvements, some screening improvements, and some exterior lighting improvements that are well within the scope of the work they're doing. That's the other item in section 12.5 is that the scope of any required improvement should be in proportion to the scope of the work they're already planning to do. It's proportionality to what might be required. So with that in mind, as you look through our report, you'll see there are a few details that need to be dealt with. They are details. Things like just addressing parking calculations, and in this case, providing justification for essentially an alternative parking standard. We don't believe there's any need for additional parking on the site. We just want them to show on the site plan why what they have works. And that's, the ordinance does allow the planning commission to approve that. We just need to have it on the plan in order for that action to be taken. You see some notes there about sidewalks. This site would, because coming to you as a preliminary site plan would require a sidewalk to be constructed, or shown on the plan anyway, along Lincoln Road. Certainly a project can be eligible for temporary relief from construction. This part of Lincoln Road is not a major route for future sidewalks. And so, but again, they need to just put the request on the plan. So this would be an item to be on the final site plan. Overall, what we found is that the site plan does substantially meet the requirement for preliminary site plan approval. The items that are remaining can easily be addressed on a final site plan. So we're happy to recommend it for conditional approval. We did just include one condition, kind of a catch-all housekeeping item to say take care of these things on the final site plan, things noted in our report. And that would then be coming back to you because things like the sidewalk, the parking were not addressed. You will be seeing the final site plan for this project. It's not something that could be administratively approved. But these are details that can easily be addressed on that plan. So with that, I'm happy to answer your questions as we go along.
Any immediate questions for Rodney?
Is this the only time we can ask questions?
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
A question about questions.
I have a lot. So on the front of this one, it says issued for 90% peer review. What does that mean? Why 90%, not 100?
Well, I would ask that of the applicant. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I don't have anything. Sorry.
Okay, so next we typically will hear from the applicant or the applicant's representative, so floor is yours. Just give us your name and address for the minutes.
My name is Heather Bowers. I work at Fishbeck. I'm a civil engineer. My address is 4510 East Crossroads Drive in Bay City. The Fishbeck office that the civil was designed out of, we have an office in Saginaw. So it's kind of our local to this area. So this project is part of the city's DWSRF drinking water program run through Eagle. It contains, as Rodney mentioned, 2 different sites And it's kind of pulling, we call the island site. Right now they have their rainy well is what they call it. It's a type of well. Their highest performing well, and it's needs some cleaning of the laterals and just to update and maintain how much intake is coming in. And then also providing storage for the raw water, and then also some treated water, so for some redundancy, and just the tanks that are also on the island are going to be decommissioned because they are aging and failing, and be relocated to the water treatment plant, which is better location for access and maintaining, and just better performance. And then also construction sequencing of how to construct a new tank without disrupting distribution to everyone. So that's kind of why it's two different sites, and pulling most of it over to the water treatment plant. The well will still stay on the island because it is taking up groundwater from the Chippewa River. Trying to think if there's anything else to kind of add to that. So I can answer the question for the 90%.
Just curious.
It's just kind of, this project has been a very fast moving. So we submitted, when we called and talked with the township planning review, it was kind of like submit the plan that you have so we can get into the review process. Because of the Eagles timeline, we have to do preliminary review and their Eagles review, and then has to come to like planning commissions and city commissions, and all very tight time frames. So we call it like a draft, kind of like a working project.
Okay.
So then the next one that you guys would get for final would be more of 100%.
Okay.
So we did look at the comments provided, and definitely everything can be accommodated and will be incorporated for the final plan set as well.
Questions from commissioners, other commissioners, or more questions on the project?
You mentioned that some of the tanks are failing out, you're gonna relocate them to the room. Which tanks are that? Can I ask
So
you?
the ones that are on the island, so that's the one that's at the, kind of like surrounding the Chippewa River.
Do you know where that is in our plan?
Yeah, so the first one,
Exactly.
C101, would be the existing site. I believe it should be the first page. So they're the big circles that are on the tank, or on the plan site, or the site plan.
And those are failing there, but are
They're-
degrading, and you're gonna, but in removing
Yep.
them, you're gonna be able to repurpose them? as
No,
your-
no, so
or
the
just
new
for
tanks are
storage?
going, so they're gonna build the new tanks and the new pump stations, and they are building we're constructing another, distribution line for redundancy. So the new tanks will be built first at the water treatment plant site. We'll get those up and running and testing and connected into the system. And then once everything has been, adequately calibrated, then we will decommission the two tanks that are on the island site and the pump station building that is on the island site. So those will be fully removed.
They get removed from offsite?
Yeah.
That was my main question, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
What ends up happening to those materials?
What's that?
The materials for the tanks?
For the
and,
tanks?
pump
The
building,
new
what's
ones
gonna
are
happen?
the,
What's going to happen to when you take those tanks out, what's going to happen?
they get so my understanding is, at least above ground, they'll get, removed, held off, but some of the inside, because of the depth of it, will get kind of like decommissioned into, like, dumped into the big void and then backfilled with sand.
Okay.
And then regraded up to grade and refreshed with topsoil and seed.
Excellent, thank you. Just for my own education, what do they do on each site?
So at the island site right now, it's a 50, 60 foot deep well. And they have like pipes that go out in lateral directions all over the place with perforations in them. And there's a pump in that to draw up groundwater. And then it is pumped to the treatment plant currently. So there's a big 24-inch pipe that goes from that site to the water treatment plant. And it gets treated at the water treatment plant, and then it gets pumped back to the island in another different 24-inch pipe to store into those tanks. It gets distributed, but also goes to those tanks and then gets pumped out into the distribution system to everyone's houses.
Okay. Thank you.
That's another reason why bringing it all onto the treatment plant site is a lot better for just flow and connectivity and maintenance and.
Is there gonna be a capacity difference?
Capacity, more so in the storage. So
Yeah.
with the raw water tank, which there is not a raw water tank right now, it allows them to, I take that back, there it is, but it allows them to draw up during not lower demand and store it. And so when there is higher demand, there's more availability for distribution. And if something were to go offline, there is more time that we can still provide water before we kind of play like the oh no moment or have to use the different wells throughout the city.
Yep.
One final question. One of the things that we get from some residents around here is they don't like the fact that the water, when they get, the water sits for a while, it's got a high iron content, so it might leave a little bit of orange in their commodes or in the bathtub. Is there any plans in the water treatment to put like some sort of water softener or anything into that? Do you know?
That I'm not sure of,
Okay.
but I do know that the water quality that they get from the rainy well, and one of the reasons why this is a high priority project is it is more efficient to treat, and there is less of that
Okay.
to treat.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
if
Yeah,
I may,
absolutely.
Please.
one thing to keep in mind is that this is the city's water system, although it's the facilities are in the township because that's where
Right.
they need to be. This is water that's going into the city of Mount Pleasant's
Okay.
water system.
Okay.
Which
It
is
is.
separate from Union
Right,
Township's water.
right, okay.
That is a
So
good
it doesn't have
clarification.
that
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Connecticut is having a sale on bags, though. You buy one, you get one free, you get the
Okay.
iron fiber.
Good to know.
Did you say that the existing well's only between 50 and 60 feet down?
I may have misspoke. I'm not exactly sure how
Okay.
deep it. I was gonna say it's on the plans. It's not on those plans.
It's
I don't-
it's
I
neither
don't
here nor
think-
there, but it seems shallow to
Yeah,
me.
no, I do think it is much deeper.
Once the tanks are removed, am I reading this correctly that it looks like there's two well houses and what's called the Ranny Well Building, those will be the remaining buildings?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, which are three small buildings,
Very small. Yep.
and the rest of it will just be, as you said, kind of,
Topsoil and seeded,
so
restored back.
return to more or less natural
Yes.
conditions?
Yep.
Okay.
And they will still plan to have like a gravel drive around it because they will still need access to those buildings. So that will maintain. We will not increase any additional. Just make sure that it's maintained. If it gets damaged during construction, they will repurpose it.
Mm-hmm. And for the new, or for the site, the main treatment area, a bunch of trees are being removed, I assume to make room for the tanks.
Yep.
And the plans then will be plant new trees?
Yeah, kind of like a screening wall. There's a lot of grade on that site, like a lot of elevation change. So just trying to accommodate how everything gets connected with drivable approach through.
Mm.
And like you said, the trees are actually kind of at a high point, so those will be removed. We're going to add a fence around the property too for security purposes, but also just as much screening as possible with the trees. And we are doing an increase to stormwater management on the site. Right now, there's really not too much stormwater management and trying to alleviate the drainage onto adjacent sites. So we're collecting it and connecting it to road sewer.
Yep.
So I had a question. Sorry, I had a question about the trees too. So the final plans that we get, do those share what kind of trees are
Yes.
going to be planted?
They will.
They will?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be itemized detailed with
Okay.
the species and sizes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess just to stick with the trees then, so if I'm driving on Broomfield and I look over there, up at the top of the hill there, there's a row of trees. Are those part of the trees that are being removed?
Part of them. They're not all being removed,
Mm.
but I'd say a half to a little over half of them. Kind of the
Okay.
ones that
The ones
are.
further to the east?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. Those trees were put in relatively early in the if I remember correctly, that facility opened in the early to mid-90s, maybe 94-ish.
Okay, yeah, I can say mine.
And so those
Yeah.
trees would have been put in fairly early on in that time, so they've
They've
had a
definitely
chance to
grown.
grow, so it's kind of sad that they're coming out, but,
No, they are very big trees.
yeah. But you have, you have to have the facilities, so. Other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we've heard from township staff, we've heard from the applicant, so the next step is for us to deliberate and take action. So as Rodney said, this is a preliminary site plan. There's going to be a final site plan, and we are gonna see the final site plan based on that. But if you do see anything that's questionable or whatever, now would be the time to mention it, so that the applicant has a greater chance of submitting something that's gonna be fully approvable.
I know, Rodney, you said they're supposed to have on the site plan the sidewalk, but where it is, the sidewalk doesn't make sense, really. So how is that gonna work?
Well, as I said, our sidewalk and pathway ordinance simply requires that sidewalks be installed. And the policies of the township board adopted essentially we deal with this in site plan approval. And so as part of site plan approval, we ask them to show the sidewalk on the plan. And that if they wish to request that temporary relief from construction that's under the board's adopted policy, they just need to add that to the plan, actually make the request in the plan. So that's what I expect you will see that on the final site plan, because you're absolutely right. This area of the township, well, we'd love to have sidewalks everywhere. The board had, the policy that was adopted by the board kind of prioritizes certain areas, and this stretch of Lincoln is not one of them.
Right.
So it is an area that's appropriate to consider for relief, because we're not planning on adding other sections of sidewalk in that area anytime soon. So with that in mind, they just need to provide the details on the plan.
Okay.
I mean, I think we should be in support of this with the conditions put in front. They're pretty clear what we need to have it to be on site, and it'd be great to see Mount Pleasant being able to increase their storage capacity, be able to provide better for their constituents, and heck, we're neighbors, you know, again, anyway.
I'm prepared to support that as well.
Will it make the water taste better at the school?
I don't think it will be different.
All right.
Everyone's looking at me.
Yeah, yes, of course.
Okay, I move to
Yeah.
approve PR 26-02 preliminary site plan for improvements to the City of Mount Pleasant water treatment plant at 4195 South Lincoln Road, PID 14-028-10-001-04, zoned R1 in the northwest quarter of Section 28 and at their associated island site located at the north end of McGurk Street, 1775 East Broomfield Road, PID 14-020-40-003-00, zoned R2A in the southeast quarter of Section 20, finding that the site plan dated March 11th, 2026 can comply with applicable zoning ordinance requirements for preliminary site plan approval, including sections 14.2.p required site plan information and 14.2.s standards for site plan approval, subject to the following condition. 1, The parking, loading, sidewalk, landscaping, and exterior lighting details noted in the staff report shall be resolved as part of the final site plan submittal.
Support.
Okay, so the motion was made by Lapp and it was seconded by Hayes. You heard the motion, which is to approve the preliminary site plan with the stated condition. Any discussion? So I just have a brief question. I think it's for Rodney, would be. The property does not have any frontage on Broomfield, so why does it have a Broomfield address?
It's interesting you asked that question. I was just thinking about it as we read. I wondered if that question would come up. My suspicion is that the island site was developed before the McGurk subdivision was developed.
Mhm.
And so it was probably originally developed with the driveway that went on to Broomfield, and they gave the Broomfield address, because that was then appropriate at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Good attention to detail.
Yeah. Well, that's my subdivision, so I guess I'm more interested in what's going on.
That is the reason why the motion got long, because just to explain where this was, it would have given enough information so that if they reading it would understand
Yeah.
what we were talking about. So
That's good.
Apologize for the long motion, but that's why.
All right. Any discussion? All right. Roll call vote, please.
Bradshaw,
Support.
Hayes,
Support.
Squattrito,
Support.
Vicky,
Support.
Lapp,
Support.
Over,
Support.
Thompson.
Support.
Okay. So preliminary site plan is approved. We'll look forward to seeing the final one. So we are ready to move on to our second new business item. This is also a preliminary site plan application. This is to establish the Central Michigan Christian Academy private school at 3433 South Lincoln Road. We will follow the same procedure. We'll hear from Rodney, then we'll hear from the applicant, and we will go from there.
Well, thank you. Everybody should have a report, say April 10th. This is a very interesting project. It's a project that has been in the works for a long time, and this is really, I would say, step one, or maybe step 3 or 4, but it's early still in the process. This is for, as I said, for a private school, located on the property of the Christian Church, Central Church, South Lincoln Road, just north of the river, Chippewa River. This is, as I understand it, the applicants can speak more to this, but as I understand it, this is intended to be an initial location for this brand new private school. You may have seen in the newspaper their efforts to working on a site in the city over at Crawford and Broomfield, and some challenges with getting rezoning done on that site. There's a strong interest and desire to have this kind of school in our community. It certainly is an asset to the community to have these sorts of educational choices. And so this is the first step, to have this location, develop it, as you see on the plans, the modular buildings, using the existing site, certainly that's capable of hosting this kind of activity. And with the idea that they will grow and develop, and we'd love them to stay there for as long as they need, but I expect that they will eventually move on to another campus. We've talked with the applicants about other sites for a larger campus as well, so that's a future element. But right now, this is, as I said, sort of the initial step to open this private school in the township. You have our review. This was a rough review. There are a number of things that are need to be dealt with. There's some basic ones. I guess one thing I'll mention is in the report. It's on page 2 of our report, page 72 of the packet. There's note there about the partial preemption of local authority. Schools are an interesting creature in Michigan law. Public schools, we have virtually no say at the township level over. There's one minor area where, for a public school, we have some recommending or commenting ability on the school location. And that's related to a high school that was added to the state law a while back. But for any other public school, we have almost no control, no activity, no influence on a public school site. Private schools, we do have this level of influence, the site plan. But for example, as noted here, building permits are handled by the state of Michigan. So once we get to that stage, they will not be working with the township any further, other than the site plan details. So there are some things that need to be dealt with. The land combination you see on the plans, there are 2 lots, one small 1 acre lot and then a larger piece, because they're planning to use both for parking and circulation. We simply noted that they will have to be combined. That's something that doesn't need to be done at this stage, but will need to be done before they finish the site plan process. Typically, we would say about before they get a building permit, but as I said, that's handled by the state of Michigan. So essentially, we've done before things start happening on the site, or before the site plan process is finished. It is a non-conforming site. The church site is, simply because it was developed many years ago. Here again, the applicants have provided information on improvements they plan to make. They have more than met the requirements in terms of those 10 categories. More than 3 types of improvements are proposing. Largely, these are things that they would already be doing in relation to adding a school to this site, but that's completely reasonable and okay. So you see pedestrian improvements, vehicle access and circulation, parking improvements, exterior lighting improvements, and drainage improvements are all on that. They're part of their site plan, at least at the concept level right now, from their site plan. We did note that there are some public safety deficiencies related to the plan, and those will need to be dealt with. That's on page 3 of our report. And all of these are really operational. You see that we talk about there's no signage to guide drivers to the site. In a private school, most people will be coming to the site, most students will be coming to the site by private transportation. Pickup and drop-off will be, peak time pickup and drop-off will be busy. This would be similar to Renaissance Academy over in Isabella Road in that sense. So it will be very important to have that operation take place with guidance. So we're talking about signage, we're talking about having pedestrian pathways be more better separated. This plan, you see that there's a pedestrian pathway that goes from Lincoln Road into the site. The part of the church is a separate sidewalk, or an asphalt path really, on this site, on this plan. But then going from the church entrance to the school entrance, they were simply planning on striping part of the existing parking lot as a pedestrian pathway. That simply doesn't meet our ordinance requirements. It's not a safe way to go for students anyway. So some of these details will need to be done. You'll see comments in there about operational plan. This gets back to that pickup and drop-off time. In order to avoid problems on Lincoln Road with traffic backup, with conflicts, and also with conflicts in the site, they do need to have active management of traffic during those peak times. That's really having people that will actively manage guiding people in and out. We have challenges on Isabella Road with the Renaissance Academy, picking the drop off, and that's a 4-lane road. The Lincoln Road is a 2-lane road. And so it becomes even more important that is actively. So we're looking for how that's going to be done and having that be part of the updated site plan. Beyond those operational details, we had some comments about sidewalks. I'll just note they do propose on the plan to construct the sidewalk along Lincoln Road, as well as that, as I said, at least part of the sidewalk or pathway going into the site. We had some comments on what the ordinance requires for those things, and then the sidewalk on Lincoln, essentially south of the church, the south end of the church property is the wetlands for the river. And the sidewalk, as it was proposed, essentially went down to that and stopped without the wetlands. And then they had a note that they would ask for relief for the rest of the sidewalk that was in the area of the lot that's in the wetlands. A very reasonable request, but it also didn't seem valuable to have a sidewalk that simply went down to the wetlands. Unless the school has some reason for that, they may. Our thought is to have that, if you look at Lincoln Road, essentially it's open open field in the northern half of the lot, and then there's a drainage ditch that goes down into the wetlands. And our thought is to bring that sidewalk onto the road side of that drainage ditch, rather than continue on the church side of that drainage ditch. So simply bring it to the roadside, and if essentially that moves it into the road right of way, and then it would simply be up to the road commission as to how far, where they can put it. And if they have to end it, because the road commission says it can't go any farther than X in the road right of way, then that's where it would end, and they just simply would request relief for the rest of it. And note the road commission, whatever the road commission gave them, that would be part of their request. So, but anyway, it seems better to have it, bring it into the right of way there at the north end of that ditch, rather than essentially go off and just have it go to the wetland area. Unless, as I said, unless the school has some reason why they want to take kids down to the wetland for some reason. So there's that, and that's a detail they can address on the final site plan, one way or the other. The other items are really just details for the final site plan. As I said, there's a fair number of items here. There were enough items that we're concerned about in significant, especially those operational details, were significant enough that our report recommends postponing action on this. However, we did, because you've asked us to do these draft motions for all the different options, we did do a draft motion for a conditional approval. And so that's in your packet. There are 9 conditions. That's more than we usually want to do. But if you are comfortable with those conditions or some version of them, we can work with the applicant to have these things addressed in the final site plan. This is another one that you will see the final site plan, because they have items that will need your action by the planning commission, including whatever they do with the sidewalk. So you will have another look at this one. So if you'd like to do a conditional approval, that motion is in there. You also postpone action, just ask for the revisions and come back to you that way.
I think we'd have to draw straws as to who would read that motion, but. Okay, questions for Rodney while he's up there? Anybody?
Now, Rodney, you said this is a rural buffer zone, typically does not have sewer and water, but appropriate for agriculture. Does this site have access to sewer and water right now? Because I saw on the plans too that there was a direct drainage out to.
But you have stormwater management, that's stormwater drainage.
That's a stormwater management here?
Right, that's what you're seeing there.
Okay, so they'll have water and sewer.
Yeah, they have
on
utilities there.
Okay.
On the north side of the plot, there's a path of driveway sort of thing. Is that private driveway?
It is. It goes to a house that's back there.
It'd be so much easier if it wasn't.
Another question you had, you said that the proposed sidewalk runs down to the wetlands there. I didn't see any Eagle report or anything like that in this initial plan. Is that something that we could expect to see in a second? Are they running up against
They're
it?
not planning to impact it.
Nothing to impact on that? Okay, that was my only question.
Even if it
If the
ran to it,
sidewalk was that close to the wetlands, how much would that?
they would be stopping it at the point where before they impact the wetlands.
Okay.
It's similar to what we did with Thrive Church, if you remember, where
Yeah.
the sidewalk on Isabella Road, portion of Thrive Church, it turns the corner from Bud Street, goes north on Isabella, and stops partway along when it reaches a point where it would otherwise go into the wetland. But no value in requiring them to try to construct some sort of boardwalk that would simply stop in the middle of that wetland area. But this is a similar case.
Is the only non-conforming aspect of the site the combination of the 2 lots?
I'm sorry.
So non-conforming site, is that because of is that based around that we need to?
It's a non-conforming site largely because it was developed many years ago. So our current site development standards, if the church facility was developed today, it would look a little different. The parking lot would look different. The a little bit more landscaping. I think even the lighting would be different at the parking lot because the current standards are different than when it was developed. So that's what non-conforming site means. Simply it was developed under a different standard, allowed to continue forever that way. But because we recognize these older sites, we want them to be improved. We want exactly this kind of a project to happen on these older sites. This non-conforming section 12.5 was set up to make it easier to make improvements to these existing sites. By narrowing our scope of what we require, it makes it easier to work with these other sites.
It kind of allows them to get grandfathered in with their current arbory.
Right.
Front.
Because otherwise, what can happen, and I've seen this happen in other communities, where a project like this comes in, and all of a sudden, there are a ton of new requirements that are, landscaping, lighting, whatever those things may be, a whole pile of things come into play that all have to be done to do this kind of a project. Or maybe even a smaller project, maybe some smaller things. That those requirements then tip the balance and make the project not financially feasible anymore. So that's what 12.5 is trying to do, is keep the balance, have some things get improved, make sure public safety is dealt with, but to not bring the site fully up to the current standards.
Speaking of public safety, my probably biggest concern hearing about this plan, and probably based a bit off of what we've been getting a lot from our previous school, is traffic, and is that lack of any real bare bones. I mean, do you see, as someone who knows traffic flow, based on this plan here, that we could expect to even be able to mitigate what we could expect to see? You're talking about, again, like, this is a 2-lane road, it's a major connector for anyone coming from High Street that wants to get into, south of the city or north of the city. So I can imagine the traffic flow is going to be intense. If it's successful, I don't want to knock on wood, but if people are showing up, it's gonna be a lot,
So there's a couple things. One is we've encouraged them to talk to the road commission, because the road commission may want some things done. That's up to the road commission, it's their road. But from our perspective, what we have recommended is that they modify this driveway, which would require road commission approval, to be a right in and right out only, to eliminate left-hand turn lanes into this site. That creates a complication for the church. On Sunday, church service, it's a non-issue on Sunday. So that might be something they have to look at a little bit more and figure out how they might accommodate both. Where it's only right in, right out during the week, but Sunday you can make that left hand.
So anyone approaching the school in the morning time for drop off would have to approach heading north.
Heading north, and then they would leave heading north. And the reason to do that is that it's the left-hand turn, both the left-hand turn out of the site and the left-hand turn into the site, that creates the traffic backups. The right-hand turns are smooth. It's easy. You're looking one way. You're not trying to look across traffic, and it's a far smoother approach. They do have, as you see on the site plan, they have a very large parking lot there that they're planning to use for this pickup and drop off, and they have a pattern that they show on the plans. There's some things that they need to address on it, clarify it a bit more, as signage and some other things to guide people through the site a little better. But they have plenty of room in that parking lot to accommodate a good amount of traffic internally, so that they're not going to have, the problem in the Renaissance site is there's not a lot of room in the parking lot. And so there's a lot of backup that happens because there's simply no more room for cars in the lot. In this case, there's plenty of room for cars to be internal, waiting their turn to drop off kids and waiting their turn to come back out. So I think in that sense, this site is going to be far better than the Renaissance Academy site. It still needs that active traffic management for peak times. But
I would say that, like, I've went at schools for my kids where it's been 3 lanes, and 3 lanes are packed up and stacked up to the back because that operational management for making sure that the certain lanes are getting dropped off, people are coming out, like there's a minimal information on here about how that would be managed, which I think is, to me, probably my biggest concern coming in. Yeah. And also, I guess, if we're still doing a right turn on only, if we do have a build-up, could that physically affect that left turn into the road that's just north of it there? Right, because this would be coming right up against where the gravel pit and the stereo thing for the cops and the pet store or the vet store that's like north of there. Isn't the adjacent property there?
There's certainly other properties. There are other sites that there would be left-hand turns. I'm not saying that they're not going to have an impact on traffic. Absolutely will. I think we've talked about the operational plan a number of times, active management within the site. I think part of that operational plan, I suspect there'll be some notes for this one, but I think we've talked about it internally with them before, is education for the parents, education for the folks who are dropping off. as well. And you mentioned your experience. I had a similar experience having kids at a charter school, and getting the full education on this is how you do it. This is where you go. This is what you do not do.
Color coordinated
Exactly,
signs, all that great stuff.
So that kind of education, both for the parents and active management during peak times, I think is key to success. It's going to have an impact, but because of the site and the space internally, I think that they can manage it if they plan it correctly.
Is there a left turn issue now on Sunday mornings? I'm assuming the church is actively used?
No, there never been any complaints about it.
Okay. And it sort of as a follow-up to that, what is the proposed capacity for the school versus what you might have on a Sunday morning at church?
Well, I tell you what, I'll let the applicants talk about the school, and I don't know the number of parishioners at the church.
Yeah.
We always want churches to grow, and so I'm sure that I hope it's growing. So it may be more next week than it was last week.
Sure.
But Sundays are a little different as well, simply because there's the base level of traffic is less, because many of the businesses are not operating or they're opening later. So it's simply a different condition than during the week, especially rush hour type periods where you have a lot of commuters who go through that same space.
As one who heads south on Lincoln at 8:15 every morning, Monday through Friday, I'm sensitive to it. I'm just trying to get a sense for the scope.
I mean, I guess like the major usage of that is people coming off the concrete company there too. Central Concrete is running up and down Lincoln nonstop in the morning. So I guess when I'm thinking about larger tracks and coming across, like, Rodney, were you on when we did the initial planning for Renaissance?
No, that was before my time. I've dealt with similar charter schools.
Was there ever a traffic study done before that? Was that something that, again, it's good to have ideas and kind of anecdotal evidence about what could be happening, but there's a part of me that's like, man, it would be nice to know an actual study, how much usage does this get? What's the majority times? What's the peak time that we can look at to see the change when these people come in? Because there's just been based around so many complaints that I know you have heard and we have heard about that backup on Isabella Road due to that.
So keep in mind, Renaissance is a public school. It's a charter school, it's a public school. So it's a little different creature in terms of what was required of them, what the obligations were at the time. It is what it is. Like it or not, that's what the state law allows. It allows them to get away with a whole lot of stuff. This one, here again, this is not a special use permit, it's a site plan process, so we certainly can look at this issue, but we're not looking at it at the same depth as we do with the special use for the public hearing process and all that. We absolutely can ensure safety. I mean, one of our standards for site plan approval, it's the standards for site plan approval, that 14.2.S that we read off in the motion. Those are the standards we're looking for them to meet. And one of those standards talks about impact on public facility, public infrastructure and such. So we have a place where we can put our concerns and say, you need to meet this. And so it will be up to them to show how they're going to meet it. But let's give them a chance to do that, and then we'll see where we go from there.
What are the alternatives to a right in, right out? I'm having trouble with that. Just how do you enforce that? And then one who lives to the north, I can't imagine going all the way around Broadway and coming back around to drop somebody off. I just wonder about the practicality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way you enforce it is with the design of the driveway. If you go to Christ Oil, and if you try to make a left from westbound Pickard Road into Christ Oil, you are going to find it's painfully difficult, and it's because the driveway's been designed for right in, right out. It has a nice island in the middle with a fairly sharp angle, so that it's easy when you're coming eastbound to slip right in. Right. And same thing going out, you can't turn left. You said we can't do it.
You'd be amazed at how motivated some people can be around.
You have to be highly motivated.
You're up in Boston and you can pretty much drive anywhere you want.
There you go.
Just because you're not supposed to, right?
Something along the lines of that design is what we have recommended that they look at. The challenge, as I said, is that would impact the church, because the church doesn't need that same design. Right. And so there may be a need to figure out how to handle both. But I'll let the engineers figure that out.
And that's the only access point to this property?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to suggest we bring the applicant into the conversation, but thank you very much, appreciate it. So I assume there's a representative of the applicant here? It's our friend Tim.
Good evening. My name's Tim Beebe. I'm with Central Michigan Surveying Development. The address is 2257 East Broomfield Road. I'm here on behalf of Central Christian Academy, and we have gone through the report. We were turning in for preliminary site plan to get comments. The process of going to the external Isabella County Road Commission, ICTC, and the others is typically after we get your review comments, and then we go out for those. We have met with the fire department. We are looking at bringing an 8-inch water line in, and as part of that, the church currently, if the church were to ever have a problem, fire hydrants on the opposite side of Lincoln Road, they'd have to try and drag across the road. So what we're proposing is to provide fire protection both for the church and for the proposed school. Trying to work through some items with the DPW as far as water service. Sanitary sewer, currently the church has an existing grinder pump that then discharges to the public sanitary sewer. What we're looking at, because this is a temporary situation, temporary, is it 5 years, is it 10 years? It's going to be how long before we actually build the main school. We're proposing to set it up with kind of a hybrid system where the solids are taken out into a septic tank. The effluent is brought off. It is pumped to the existing sanitary sewer pump that pumps to the system. Why are we separating out those solids? Well, we've got little kids. And we're trying not to send toys and other things to their grinder pump. So we're setting up that baffling system so that if they flush something down the toilet, it ends up in the tank that can be cleaned out before it ends up in the grinder. So it's just assuring the life of the church's system. As far as internal, we have a meeting set up after reviewing the findings from staff. We have an internal meeting that we're going to be going through to talk about operational and maintenance. The state requires an operational and maintenance plan. They're in the process of putting that together for the state. It looks like we are being asked to provide some of that to the township. Typically, operational systems, when we're doing like a commercial site, we don't put together how is the business operating on a day-to-day basis. So it is a little different request, but we are having to do that with the state, so we'll pull those portions out and try and get it into a format that we can submit. As far as the sidewalks are concerned, I'm going to meet with Rodney and find out so I get a better feel for what your thoughts are on sidewalks. Personally, I think the sidewalks should be on the other side of the road, and maybe they should be constructed there. So, we have lands there that potentially, I think, are going to be developed. I think. So the sidewalks, we'd like to get sidewalks all the way up to Remus Road. So having a sidewalk on the opposite side is probably a better place to put it. So I'd like an opportunity to talk with you on that. So we'll work on the sidewalks with staff, and I guess the traffic questions that you have, how does it relate to what the church currently has? The church on Sunday, will have 2.5 times as many cars as what the school will. You're looking at approximately 50 cars in the morning and 50 cars in the evening. Internally, we have the ability to hold that. The question becomes the turning out on the roadways. That is something that is under the purview of the road commission, and we are working with them on what their requirements are going to be. So it's not an enormous amount. The school is considerably smaller than what Renaissance School is. So when you're looking at that traffic backup, and trust me, I've been in the line trying to get around the parents, that was a very, very poor job on internal stacking for pickup and drop off. And they stack right out on the roadways. We have sufficient area internally that will not be an issue. We are also not putting in a school that is preschool through 12th grade. We're putting in preschool through 2nd or 3rd grade, and then hoping to maybe expand it to 4th grade, so that the kids can try and move through. The classrooms are set up to maximum size of classroom is 25 kids. Doesn't mean we're going to have maximum.
How many classrooms is it sped up to have?
4. So the school will be very successful if we have 80 students. So we are not anywhere close to the same level that the Renaissance School is. If you've seen any of the plans for the school on the city property, that is where we have the ability to stack, was it like 86 cars?
Talking about the south lot,
Internally.
that south lot opposite of the, which spot are you talking about? For the,
This is the site west of Crawford, south of Broomfield. That, we're trying to get that worked through and get it rezoned so that the school can go there.
Same site you had proposed to the Mount City Commission before, still
Previously.
pursuing on that site?
It's been an ongoing process.
And then this would just be a temporary,
This is proposed as a temporary, but can I tell you, is it a 5-year, is it a 10-year? It kind of depends on fundraising and everything else in order to build that school. So they're wanting to get started, and this is a way that they can get started and get their foot in the door and start introducing the area to this parochial school.
can I ask you a question? What happens if you get approval from Mount Pleasant next year?
We still have to raise the funds to build it, which is not a short-term project. I was on the fundraising when we did an addition for our parochial school that my kids went to. And we had, it's nowhere near the size, and it was a 3-year process for fundraising. So it would be nice if we made it through the city's rezoning and everything went perfectly well, and this summer we get the go-ahead that, yes, in fact, the zoning is approved, and they can kick off because they've had to do fundraising, and the fundraising now is going towards what we're proposing now. So those funds are going to go towards this portion of it. They'll have to kick into fundraising for the main school. And it would be great to say that it's going to only be a 5-year process, but it depends on how well it goes.
Say Mount Pleasant follows through, does that refocus your efforts into making this a long-term plan? I mean, is this? I was
This
just
is
saying, because I know last time it came before Mount Pleasant, it was, I think, 6-1 against rezoning, right? The last formal
It depends,
proposal.
depends on which meeting you wanna go to. You wanna go to the planning commission meeting where it was
City commission,
unanimous.
city commission, I'll go to city commission.
Yeah.
City commission was, I think, like 6-1 against.
Um,
So I guess, I mean, because I'm trying to validate, this is, I'm hearing this is temporary, I'm also hearing could possibly go back to Mount Pleasant, I'm also hearing that, but then,
Sure.
come on.
For our purposes, this is a permanent site,
Okay.
and that's how I would recommend that you treat it. And, you know, any business may operate in what the location, anything may operate for a time and move somewhere else. Success, or they die, whatever it may be. So we really can't predict the future, they can't predict the future. We simply treat it as a permanent installation. And we'd love to have them here, have great success here. But for us, it's not temporary. Whatever it may be for them, it's permanent as far as we're concerned.
Thank you, Ray.
Other questions from commissioners for the applicant?
You said you have room there for 50 cars. Is that just in the parking lot, in line to pick up?
We have inline parking approximately half, and then we have all the parking in the parking lot itself. So we could easily park every vehicle that comes in the parking lot. We have excess parking for that. But we're trying to keep people flowing. But we can accommodate approximately half the cars that are gonna be coming in the morning in line off the
Okay.
public roads.
And I think that's Oliver's concern is the other half that's in the road.
They won't be in the road, they will be in the parking lot.
Now, I know the Mount Pleasant facility that was proposed, was that just your church, or was it like a couple of
There's-
different churches that were looking to use
There's
this site?
five churches that are coming together.
No, but would this facility only be for your church, or would those 5 schools still be coming together to use it? I guess I'm wondering, because of scaling, you know, say things don't go to, like, Ronnie said, we're gonna look at this as a permanent thing, because it could possibly do that, and we're looking right now at 4 schools, or 4 classes with 100. How does that change if the plans in Mount Pleasant follow through? And then we're looking at this thing, how does that affect head count? How does it affect the amount of students that we could see coming in, which could affect
Okay,
the amount of car flow we're seeing, you know, because car flow here is based around, just right now, four classes, based around just holding those 4 classes, I'm assuming for the, what you call the temporary time would be here, but for us it could be, you know, substantially going forward.
this site cannot accommodate the full school. So even if we decided to try to expand, you cannot expand this site to that point.
To what point could you expand it?
Perhaps 2 more classrooms.
Are the classrooms going to be stick-built, or are they going to be portables?
They're modulars. So they're being brought in with the idea that this is a temporary solution. This is not the vision that Central Christian Academy has for their final school.
Is there gonna be a playground?
There will be a playground.
Okay.
It is to the north of the site, or the north of the buildings, and to the rear.
North or to the rear, okay.
You'll see kind of a pad area in the back.
So what, I'm sorry.
Between that and the retention pond, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
So what would be the drop-off and pickup times?
Can you help me with that one?
I can, maybe I can help with some clarifications too. My name is Renee Italian. I live at 1408 North Drive in Mount Pleasant. I serve on the board. We have been together on board for approximately 6 years. time flies when you're having fun. We appreciate all that Tim has done. We appreciate Rodney, where he's given us a lot of insight as well. We are looking at this particular site at Central Church. We have an agreement. It's a lifelong lease agreement with the church. So although it does sound somewhat temporary, we do know the difficulty it's been to try to find a location to start a school. We had no idea it was going to be this difficult. But finally coming to an agreement with Central Church, we're looking at this, yes, as a launch pad. We have 4 educational modular units with 1 office modular unit that's planned. And at this point, we are looking at kindergarten through possibly 4th grade, even 5th. It will depend upon the parents in terms of the children that we're going to receive. Right now, we're looking at a temporary, kind of a limited launch, if possible, if everything gets done, in January of 2027. And at that point, at this juncture, as our operational budget, we're looking at approximately 20 students. So it is going to be a much smaller venue than, say, Renaissance. I think everybody in the city has been caught up in that Renaissance traffic. So this is, again, a private school, not a charter school. So these parents then are going to be paying a tuition, and we hope to provide financial aid or make it accessible to those people who desire to have an education for their children such as this. I love a comment that we heard early on. This is not an either or, it's an and. And data has shown us that when communities are able to provide a lot of different educational venues, young parents like to have some choices in terms of where they will send their children to school. So we want to be an and not an either or. If nothing happens, say, on the Broomfield property, we have looked at that property for a while. We've been in a lot of those meetings. It was actually a very close vote that it went down at the very last vote. We were a little bit surprised, but you know, a lot of things happen. There are obstacles to overcome. We are going back again, and even if it goes through, say even this year, to be able to raise the funds for a permanent structure, we're talking for phase 1, at least $8 or $9 million. And so that will all have to be raised via donations. So I know that some have been involved in organizations that look at donations, so that could take a very long process if it goes through, so that's always an if. We know we need to have some kind of a product to launch in order to have the fundraising, so you have one hand and another, saying you have to have a product in order to get the fundraising, but you need the fundraising to have the product, so you get caught in this catch-22. So we know that starting the school is incredibly important. Will it be 5 years? I suspect at least that. Could it be 10 years? Absolutely, it could be 10 years. Could it be the permanent site? It could. So if we don't have the room to say to be K-12, then we would be an elementary school, and that would be our calling, to have an elementary school in that location. And that would be fine. You have to work within the boundaries that we have. We're hoping to be a K-12. It would be great if we had a permanent structure and a soccer field and ball field and all those kind of things. But we do know that we have to work within the realm that we have. We appreciate Central Church. We have, four churches right now represented on board, with a lot of other churches that are very supportive to getting this vision launched. So it's not one particular church that has been the catapult to put this forward. It has been a really united effort to see this going from a dream to an actual reality. So that gives a little bit of outline to it. We appreciate, the consideration to move this forward. 6 years goes quick. We don't know this 6 will go much faster. So, we're looking forward to trying to get something started to be a great, a great and for this community. I don't know if there's any questions that I can answer. know that Tim does a great job, all the technical questions.
I mean, I had asked the pickup and drop-off times. What is the footprint of the, what is the footprint of the school day?
Well, I just want the pickup times would be more towards an elementary structure time of starting. So it would be somewhere between 8:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning. And then the end of school will be a typical school day, will sometime between 3 and 3:30 or 3:40.
Okay.
So.
Does
and
kindergarten have that same full day, or are they half day?
I'm sorry?
Kindergarten, is kindergarten the same full day or just a half day?
It really depends upon the school system. We just visited a school just a couple of weeks ago, a school down in Lansing, a private school, and we were surprised that they had, we see some schools just have morning kindergarten. We see some schools that just have 2 days, full days, 2 days a week kindergarten. So it's going to really, you know, that final decision has not been made yet in terms of the school board. Will we be an every day, all day? I think in Mount Pleasant, I think Renaissance is an all-day kindergarten every day. You know, there's a lot of data that goes back and forth, you know, whether or not that's what should be implemented for kindergartners.
Yeah.
You know, we still, the verdict is out.
What is, with this layout, which is just the 4 classrooms and I guess an office building, where will the kids eat their lunch?
Right now, the kids will eat their lunch in their classrooms. They'll have, it will be a bag lunch. We will not be providing any hot lunch or anything like that. That's a whole nother realm to get into. These will be a brown bag lunch, and they'll be, you know, depending on the number of students that are in the classroom. Again, I know Tim mentioned, you know, 25 would probably be our limit. These are large educational modulars. So we could even have a kind of a moving section to say, okay, here's where we're going to eat our lunch at. We can be very creative within that actual space that we're working with.
What will you do for, like, activity during bad weather and any kind of group where you want the whole school to be together for meetings?
Sure. We've been very appreciative of Central Church, and we have, you know, one of the board members from Central Church, and we will be able, I believe, to go ahead and use their building like their large sanctuary areas. So if we need to have a large gathering meeting, we're very appreciative that will be accessible to us.
Or for tornado or.
Yeah, if there's a tornado or any kind of, you know, calamity that's coming. You know, it really is great to have partnerships. And we feel very fortunate to have a great partnership with Central Church.
I'm struggling on the plan here to find the toiletry facilities. Does each classroom have its own toiletry facility? It's, I guess, I know these are modular devices. I guess if I could get a little more clarity in just how that's.
Every educational modular will come with a bathroom facility. The office will also have bathroom facilities that are all going to be ADA approved. Sorry?
One toilet unisex type bathroom.
Yes, each modular in itself will have that. Plus, there will be 2 of them, 2 bathrooms available in the office unit.
It's open air between the different modules. So kids are moving around between classes or anything like that. In the snow, that's not happening.
Elementary students will be a standalone
They'll be
class.
standalone.
This is not going to be a movement where they're going to be switching classrooms at any time. These are all pretty much standalones, which is fairly typical for younger elementary children.
Sure, typically they'd be in a hallway though, right? Like hallway between classroom to classroom versus outside. It's a little bit unique and it's for modular outside room classrooms. It's kind of like more of like the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Yeah, Little Red School. I know my first teaching job was in a modular classroom, and a little bit of a hike to the main one, so you know, you got your hair washed a couple of times. It was all right.
Will there be any landscaping around these? I'm just thinking about the kids and what they would look out the windows to see. Are there
We have a
plans for
lot of
trees?
landscaping.
Okay,
In
okay.
fact,
That'd be on the final, right?
Yeah,
I keep getting
we have
that.
talked about landscaping, we want these to look great.
Mhm.
I don't know, we have a couple on our board who especially, have a real keen insight for landscaping, making sure it looks great. Part of our curriculum that we are really promoting is outdoor education. The data on outdoor education is phenomenal in terms of how it really increases the learning, the getting kids outdoors. And it's wonderful to have a little bit of land and property to go ahead and work with that. We've seen some amazing outdoor educations over in Muskegon. They have these little suits that they put on, and they rain and snow and shine, they're out there, and these kids are pretty resilient.
I would like to address your comment, but with this being a site plan that's submitted under section 12.5, we didn't select landscaping as one of the items that we were improving. Landscaping will be a voluntary thing that they do, but if I put it on the plan, it's a mandatory thing that they do.
Okay.
So, the final site plan won't come in with landscaping only for that reason.
Okay.
They're telling you that they will be doing landscaping. Could-
My suggestion in that case would be to just bubble it in. Landscaping to be added later by the school or some, just show where it will be. That way it's, when they do it, something, give us something to work with, not a plan necessarily. but
The only
something to
the
show.
only thing that I get concerned with is when they change their mind and they don't want it in this spot, they want it in here. And then I have to change plans and resubmit them.
They get creative.
So I'll put a note addressing that voluntary landscaping will be done in and around, but landscaping is one of those things that if we change what tree we're putting in, I end up having to change plans and resubmit plans. So when it's not an actual requirement, I tend not to show it, because if it's shown, it's part of the approved site plan, period.
And they certainly can improve the site later on. It sounds like this is probably something that would happen over time anyway.
So I'm going to suggest to commissioners, I mean, we have several options here, but, I mean, I haven't heard anybody suggest that they don't think that this is a project that should, go forward. But we have the option of postponing this and having them get even the preliminary site plan in better order and coming back with that, or approving it with a whole set of conditions, which would essentially be corrected and hopefully gotten to the finish line by the time of the final site plan. So I guess I would suggest we give some thought to which you are more comfortable with.
I don't know about you, I don't want to read all this. I'd rather push off to next month.
I guess I'd rather read it all and let them get moving, because as we know, we're going into a construction season again, and any project has limited time before we hit more weather again. And it's a very detailed list, so I think Rodney and Peter have covered what needs to be covered, and it gives them a plan then to pursue then for the final site plan. That's just my thought.
I support that.
Yeah. But
I
there's
know it
cer-
is a lot to read, though.
Yeah, there's certain ones on there that I wouldn't want to do, like forcing them to have a write-in, write-out, number 4 there on the condition.
Well, I think to some degree that's gonna depend on the road commission, correct? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this does not say thou shalt have right in, right out. What it says, number 4. Okay. It says. Remember what I said about trustee? I mean, it says revise the driveway design. It absolutely does. It says do it consistent with limiting turning movements during peak up and drop off. Tim is absolutely right. The road commission controls that road, and they decide what design they are comfortable with. And we do have the issue that the church doesn't need a write-in and write-out on Sundays. I trust Mr. Beebe to figure out a design that will accomplish this. And as I said, largely this could be that operation plan.
Yep.
It may still be a design, it may still be elements that help make this happen, design elements make it happen. But I do trust that they'll be able to figure it out. What I don't want to see is, I don't want to see left-hand turn lane, turns into this site during pickup time and drop-off time. I just, even if they're saying there's only 50 cars, that's a lot of cars trying to make a left-hand turn. You know, and unless they can show otherwise, that everybody's coming from the south, which I think is probably going to be challenging to show, because they don't know who their students are yet. They really are going to have to address this one way or the other. And ultimately, because this is coming back to you, you get to decide whether they've met these conditions. And so they come back to you with a plan that gets to this, it gets to the space where you're comfortable that they have satisfied that this is going to work. You can approve the plan. So that's part of the key here. This is not a thou shalt in that format. Even the wording was very carefully done to try to give them some room to work. But ultimately, this plan's coming back to you for final site plan approval. So you will decide whether they met it or not.
Could we not accomplish that by putting the period number 4 at the end of the word school in the last line and just not reference to write in and write out only?
If you choose, sure. Yeah, obviously.
Just so that we're not holding ourselves to that by passing it now.
But as I said,
I'm
if they
with you
come
on the
back to
left
you,
turn
for
check.
example, if they came back to you and the plan didn't have write in, write out, you said they come back to you and say, for these reasons, we couldn't do that. The road commission wouldn't do it, we can't do it for this. It will be your final site plan to approve.
Sure.
So ultimately, you're gonna make the decision whether they have satisfied what you want. By putting the write in, write out, you're actually right, it does say it. I've forgotten I did have to tack that on the end of the sentence. By having it in there, you are at least putting a stake in the ground to say, this is what we prefer. Ultimately, as I said, we have to deal with the fact that we don't control the road. But by being clear with what you prefer, you have a half chance of getting it. And you know, what will happen, whatever you approve, we're going to share that, your approval with Mr. Gaffney and the road commission, so he's aware of what you did. And that way, when he's talking to them, he at least knows what you as plan commission wanted to have happen. So,
Ronnie, are we bound by the road commissioner's suggestions? Say the road commission doesn't say right turn only. Does that limit our ability to say we need it to be right turn only, or?
No, ultimately, it's their road. They ultimately have the say over what happens within their road right of way.
So then our recourse, then again, just pontificating, if they don't get something that we were looking for, which is like, say, a right turn lane only, like, would it be then, like, our next motion would be to deny it versus like trying to be able to set any conditions on our own? I guess I'm just wondering, trying for more clarity, like any stipulations for that road turnage there is done by the road commission, and then we have to make our decision based off of their findings or their results?
So let's say, for example, the road commission says, we don't want you to do anything to that driveway. It's beautiful and perfect the way it is. Then our focus becomes more on that operational plan. How are you dealing with this? How are you dealing with it with the parents educationally? How are you dealing with it in active managing the site? And show us that this is going to work.
Okay.
That's all. That's where we focus. I don't recommend you deny the plan over that. That's the road commission has control of their right of way. They choose what happens with that. And it just changes where our focus is. But even in our internal focus, we don't deny the plan. We simply say, show us how this is going to work. You figure it out.
Sure.
And they do have the ability to do that. They have the space in the site. They have the capacity to have an operation plan. As Mr. Beebe said, the state is requiring similar things anyway. So.
Sure, yeah, I didn't want to give a view of what my decision would be. It was more be like, what would our recourse be if, like, the sign, things we didn't have, what our only recourse be to deny it versus, like, as you said, no, we could propose other operational plans to kind of enforce it. Right, thank you, I appreciate it very much.
But that's why I like leaving the language as it is, so that you at least tell them, you're putting on, in your minutes, and ultimately, as I said, we'll share your motion with the road commission, what you prefer. And they decide what they want to do.
not sure where others are, but for me, the preference or the direction for a write-in, write-out does not make sense to me. I would like to hear alternatives. So for me, I would strike it from the language and proceed with the conditions, knowing that they're going to come back with a site plan that makes sense. And that'll have the input of the road commission. But the write-in, write-out does not make sense to me.
It doesn't sound like we even have the ability to say that, because it goes to the road commission to decide what, like, we could put
But
that in there,
I get the
but
point that if
we don't have-
it's in the language, then that becomes part of the recommendation. The road commission takes a look at that,
okay.
thinking, oh, well, the planning commission wants that. I'm not sure I'm there yet
on the right turn only,
on the right turn only. Yeah.
you'd be open to left turn into the facility in the morning?
I'd love to see a turn lane, but I don't think I'm going to get that. But that's where I'm curious to see what the alternatives are, because it doesn't make sense to me for folks to go all the way around to come back down Lincoln to make a right turn.
You could say that. You could say right in, right out, or the addition of a left-hand turn lane. I do understand that area, I suspect is going to be somewhat challenging for a left-hand turn lane.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that area is going to get,
Don't think that way. Right now, that would be expensive to put a left-hand turn lane.
it would, but, future plans, supposedly, the bridge was put in so that it could be a 4-lane. If the money ever comes available, you're gonna see a 4-lane up through.
Just south up to,
Well, frankly, you're probably going to see a 3-lane. You're going to see a mirror image of what's south of the river. The original plan was 4 or 5. I don't think that it will ever come in that way. But it will at some point be a 3-lane.
What is the technical term on like at certain drives where you can kind of go around, but the main
Deceleration
right
lanes.
deceleration lane, is that a feasible option in this scenario?
And,
Which would be on the north side,
there are
right?
ways to improve the road. Those are always expensive options. And
yeah.
when you're trying to build a school, if you're putting all of your money out in the road,
Sure.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
So it'd be better to try to find a solution that doesn't need that. But anyway, you could say in your, first of all, you could delete the statement. You could also kind of give them options, say either right in, right out, or a dedicated left-hand turn lane, so that if we want to do it that way too.
Or staggered start times for classes, things of that sort.
That's the operational plan side.
Yeah.
That's more what we'd probably be looking at.
Okay.
I would be fine with putting the period at school. That was actually what I was thinking of. So, the general consensus I'm hearing is to proceed with a motion with conditions. So, the chair, by convention and past practice, never makes the motion. So one of you is going to have to read it.
Well, I shall be the sacrificial lamb yet again.
You're terrific. Thank you.
I move to approve PRES PR 26-03 preliminary site plan to establish a private school and to construct modular units for office and classroom space for Central Christian Academy on the Central Michigan Christian Church premises at 3433 South Lincoln Road in the R-1 Rural Residential Zoning District and in the northwest quarter of Section 21, finding that the site plan dated March 24th, 2026 can comply with the applicable zoning ordinance requirements for preliminary site plan approval, including sections 14.2.p required site plan information and 14.2.s standards for site plan approval, subject to the following conditions. 1, a land combination of the two parcels is required to be submitted to the township by the applicant and approved by the township assessor prior to the start of any construction or installation of site improvements on this site. 2, revise the site plan set to include the missing sheets and to separately show the overall existing conditions and overall proposed site plan without the topographic survey details which clutter the page, making it difficult to decipher. 3, add more traffic direction with either painting on the pavement or signage that clearly takes a motorist in and out through the entire site from entrance to exit as part of pickup and drop-off, and provide a detailed operational plan for active staff guidance and direction in the pickup drop-off area during peak periods. 4, revise the driveway design and provide a detailed operational plan on the revised site plan to address traffic movements and active staff guidance and direction at the entrance from South Lincoln Road, consistent with limiting turning movements during peak pickup and drop-off periods for the school. 5, provide sufficient safety margins to adequately separate children and other pedestrians from vehicle traffic areas within and through the site. 6, provide the required internal concrete sidewalk connector from South Lincoln Road to the church and to the school in a manner consistent with the sidewalk and pathway ordinance and the safety of children and other pedestrians using this pedestrian way. 7, revise the location of the South Lincoln Road concrete sidewalk to transition from the extra 10-foot wide easement to within the South Lincoln Road right-of-way at a point just north of the open ditch along the east side of South Lincoln Road, which drains into a wetland area at the south end of the lot. This part of the new sidewalk would be subject to permit approval from the Isabella County Road Commission, ICRC. 8, revise the note on sheet 6 of 11 to clarify that, quote, a copy of the final 10-foot wide sidewalk easement document for the sidewalk along South Lincoln Road as recorded at the Isabella County Register of Deeds Office will be submitted to the Township Zoning Administrator prior to the start of any construction or installation of site improvements on this site, end quote. And 9, add the required details for the dumpster pad and enclosure.
Support.
Wouldn't it have been a shame if she read all that and there was no second? Okay,
That's
so-
why I jumped in, yeah.
So the motion was made by Lapp. Well, you paused just long enough to give it suspense. And the second was by Olver. So you've heard the motion with, to approve the preliminary site plan with the 9 conditions as specified. Any further discussion?
Rodney, can I just ask an old school question here? I taught at a private school in Pennsylvania years and years ago, and it emptied onto a major road in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And they had a traffic person out there at the end of every day getting people off the site. This was a high school, so a lot of the students drove too. Is that not allowed anymore? Is that just operationally not an efficient way to deal with that? To have a live person there, like directing traffic?
That's what we were suggesting that they do.
Okay.
You're not talking about police officers, this was.
No, this was handled by the school. They had someone,
That's
Ernie
what-
Hess, the guidance counselor, was out there every day with his vest on.
That's what I'm kind of expecting they're going to need to do to make this work, to keep the Lincoln Road from being, traffic being a problem on Lincoln Road. I think they really are gonna have somebody out there. Just as they're gonna have somebody near the school directing traffic and making sure kids are safe. You know, if you look at that design, there's multiple drop-off lanes. Well, that's putting a whole lot of kids in between cars. So that's going to require some effort to figure out how to make that work. But it definitely, I think, will require people being on site at the end.
Even on the road, though?
Yeah,
Okay.
out there's the road.
Okay.
Now, we'll see what they come up with, but that's my thought, is that seems to be really the only way to ensure that it will work.
Okay, any other comments on the motion by commissioners?
I think I'd say that my only concern before giving approval here is that the devil is in the details for a lot of these things, and there's a part of me that's hesitant to give approval without knowing what we're gonna get back from them. Will we have the opportunity to then further approve this?
Yeah, the
It's
final
not
site plan comes back
It's
to
not
us.
it's not it's not gonna come back to you for review. It'll
No,
come back
because
to
of
us for any
the
this.
nature of what they have to do, the sidewalk alone, that item alone, they have to come back to you. That can't be, what needs to be done cannot be approved administratively. But these other items, we would send it back to you.
So we gotta look to be able to look operationally at what plans are giving back to us for that traffic management before we give a final site approval.
That's right. You'll see the final site plan, it will have all those details, it'll be all part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my thought to postpone was exactly what you said. There's 3 turning lanes. There's a lot of kids there. I want caution with kids.
Has anyone on your board ever run a school? Just out of curiosity?
You have a retired principal.
Come up to the microphone, so that people are on video.
Right. We do have a retired principal on our board. I think you did Oasis, you did McGuire,
High school.
and then the high school assistant principal. So yes, we do have feel like we have quite a few teachers on our board, retired teachers, retired from CMU as well, so, you know, we do have people who have had experience, and I would say probably Susan Renard, who is our retired principal, has had the most, being out there directing all the traffic as well. We have talked about this. This is an item that has been on our radar. We've talked with Tim in terms of how to do the stacking, how many need to be out there, how we're going to have kids filtering through if there are more than one lane of cars. I mean, all of this. Our main concern, of course, is child safety, and that will be at the top of the list.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Oliver,
Support.
Vicky,
Support.
Lapp,
Support.
Hayes,
Support.
Quattrito,
Support.
Thompson.
Support.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is approved. And again, we will look forward to seeing the final plan.
Excuse me just a moment.
All right, so we have two other business items. These are, I'm going to call them previews, right, of potential special use permits. So the first one is PSUP 26-02, which would be a special use permit application for a short-term rental at 5320 South Whiteville Road. Introduction by Rodney, and we will go from there.
Thank you. As I said, this is an opportunity for an introduction. These two, both applications involve special use permit requirements. That requires a public hearing by the planning commission. In both cases, the applications that came in were not complete. They were complete enough essentially for initial review, but they weren't really ready to set a public hearing. And so, timing-wise, what we invited the applicants to do is to come in and introduce the projects, and it's the same applicant, same family for both. Basically invite the commission to ask questions, give them feedback, things that they may even be able to make adjustments to the application if there's things you notice or thoughts about that would come back to you. The intent is for both applications that they would be on your May agenda for a public hearing. This first one, which is the short-term rental, is actually now complete. They did provide the additional information that we needed for it to be ready for a public hearing. It just it came in just very recently. The other one, they're still working on some detail scripts, but both fully expect to be ready for a hearing at your May meeting. One thing, with that in mind, I'll just mention this applies to both of these items. I would invite you to hang on to the materials you've been provided, the paper copies. Because what we will do is we will add to it for the next packet. But the material that you have will not change. We'll simply be adding to it. The plans, I don't expect the plans will be different. There will just be some more information that we will add. So keep these last two. We don't normally recommend that or ask for that, but in this case, if you would keep it so we don't have to bring more. With that in mind, this first one you have is, as I said, it's a short-term rental. This was the Airbnb type rental housing. This was added to our ordinance back in 2020 as a special use, which says it requires a hearing. The main reason to require a hearing for this type of activity is to let the neighbors know of the change, so they're aware of what's coming. And they can certainly get any questions answered about it. This one, you've had a couple of short-term rentals that have come from the planning commission in the past. They were owner-occupied rentals where they were renting rooms or parts of their spaces. This is the first time where we've had a short-term rental where the entire house will be a rental. It's not owner-occupied. The owner managed, but not owner-occupied. Perfectly okay. Our ordinance certainly allows it. It's just the first time we've seen one of those. So with that in mind, I'm happy to answer questions as we go along, but my thought is to turn the time over to the applicant and just hear from them and ask any questions you have.
Okay, any immediate questions for Rodney while he's up there? Okay, thank you.
Mike Klump. Address is 7700 South Whiteville Road, Shepherd. Here with my wife Jamie. So we're the owners of actually both these properties we're talking about. But I guess the first one on the agenda, the short-term rental. It's a house on a 1.5 acre lot. We're just looking to basically go in and be completely remodeling this house. So making sure it's all up to code and things. We've already had the Union Township inspector come out and do a preliminary inspection and stuff for us and let us know all the things that would need to be done as far as smoke detectors and parking requirements and all these kind of things that he wants to see. So we've already went through that process. I'm just looking to get this approved so we can move forward with the building project of it. The reason we're doing this, I guess it kind of goes into our next special use permit is we have this is directly located across the road from our farm, which is the agritourism spot that we have. So we're doing this for the short-term rental, the Airbnb portion, because of obviously things in Mount Pleasant with CMU and the casino and things like that. I think it could be very well used, but we're also really looking forward to be able to use it for events and stuff that we have across the road and be able to use it for ourselves. People coming in town wanting to do events and stuff there and then have a place for them to stay that's right next to the property. So that's really the main goal. So. Do you have any questions for me, I guess, on?
What's the state of that place right now? You're going to do operational, you said renovations. What's the rehab timeframe you see for it?
Yep, we purchased the property. Went in there, it was pretty bad inside, so we already went in and basically just gutted, if you will, the whole thing. It's stripped down to just basically bare drywall right now, so it'll have all brand new kitchen, bathrooms, HVAC, plumbing, and it'll be pretty much brand new from the top to the bottom. Outside will be all redone to new siding, steel roof, and those kind of things as well. So it'll be pretty much a complete remodel when we're done. So.
How many square feet is it?
It's roughly, it's a 1,800, I think, around 1,800 square feet. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, roughly 1,800 square feet. Has a detached 3-car garage with it. So.
So this is just a random question. This map.
Yep.
So are there 2 lots? Or there?
That's another house. So it's.
So that's a separate one, not.
Yes, a separate one. Yep.
The red is what we're talking about.
Correct.
This
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
And so just to remind us, short-term rentals are how long, like what's the maximum?
Yeah,
Is there one?
There's so many days consecutive we can only rent to, and then so many, I don't have it in front of me, but yes, there is in your guidelines there, I don't know if
Yeah.
Ryan knows it.
I don't have the detail in front of me either, but it's, frankly, as a rental, it'd be in our rental inspection program, whether it's short-term rental or it's regular rental.
Yeah.
So for us, they do need to meet the standards of the ordinance, the zoning ordinance apply to short-term rentals. But either way, the rule is the same for us. We just simply require to be part of our rental inspection program.
Yeah.
The short-term rental, the reason special use is really because it's a turnover of people more frequently than a standard rental. So it has more impact on neighbors that way.
Yeah.
I thought somewhere it said 4 nights.
Yeah, that sounds
I read
right.
something in one of these packets.
That
that's-
sounds about right. Yep.
And Rodney, you had said that this will be public hearing and that would come forward in May and.
That is correct. It's, we would hold a hearing on it at the May meeting. The public would hear about it and have the opportunity to ask questions and comment, and obviously go through the normal deliberative process.
Neighbors are supportive? Had conversation?
Yes. Yep.
Cool.
This is not a concern in asking this, but so running like on this map, for these kinds of things, we don't necessarily know who the landowners are of other, when people bring stuff to us.
You mean the neighbors?
Right.
Well, in this
Is
case,
that not something?
when we do the hearing, we'll have actually the list of neighbors.
Okay, at the hearing part.
We notify everyone within 300 feet of the property. Now, their own property is within 300 feet, so they're going to get a notice.
Sure,
Their
yes.
Grove side will get a notice. But all the neighbors who are within 300 feet of that residential lot will receive a notice from this in the mail.
Okay.
If all of this is approved, what is your anticipation for when you think you might be able to actually start renting it?
We would hope to, we have to, obviously want to get this approval first because
Right.
we may remodel the house differently if we
Right.
didn't do it this way, right? So we want to get this first, and then the idea would be to start the remodeling process here probably in the next 30 to 45 days. Construction would start, and then probably at least a 3-month window, a construction season probably we want to do, and then be able to start running right after that, so that probably like late summer, early fall probably, so.
So tell me again, how many units?
It's 4 bedrooms.
One unit, the whole
One-
house.
just
Okay,
one unit,
okay, so-
just one house.
So it would be rented by one person or group at a time,
Yes, correct. Yep. Yep.
but it could be up to,
Yes, between 8 to 10 people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep. Total people there.
what would it go a night?
I don't know, that's a great question. We're trying to research that ourselves.
Got your first renter.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You looking for a place, or?
Well, I'm just up north on Broomfield, so I'm not really that
Yeah.
far away, but I would like to win a stay through like some local whatever,
Yes.
like drawing or something.
think it's-
Which is not conditional on his approval for anything.
We could have a
Probably not something
drawing.
you want to say during a planning commission meeting. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Have you considered adding another bathroom if you're gonna have 10 people in there?
Well, that's something I think, it has it's gonna be 2 full baths right now, so I think that's something, it only has the 4 bedrooms, so we know we're gonna schedule at least for 8,
Right.
people for sure.
Yeah, and it would be
2 full
difficult
baths.
probably to fit in another bathroom, but.
Yes, well, those are the kind of things too, if you remodel it for a short-term rental, like things like big closets, like master closets and stuff aren't really in need,
Right.
if people aren't gonna be living there, so we'd use up that closet space and could be able to maybe add an extra half bath or do some things like that to really hone in the design based on what we're gonna do with it, so.
How many events are you guys running right now per? Oh, sorry, I thought that was me feeding back. It was a car outside. How many events are you guys running a year? 'Cause I'm assuming this will probably be used around your season when you guys are open and active, building up towards sunflowers at the end of the year and stuff.
Yep. That's really gonna depend on the next item on your agenda, I guess. If we get the next item on the agenda approved, then, hopefully we're gonna be ramping that up significantly.
Are you guys the winery next?
Yes, yep.
Oh, I'm looking for that one.
Yep. They really kind of tie in together, really, so.
Winery's where all the questions are.
Random question with the laundry, you're gonna let people do laundry there, or that would be to do the laundry of what's there?
We would allow people to use the laundry, yep, so that they're there if they want, wash some clothes or something like that, yeah.
Somebody who used an Airbnb rental for 2 weeks down in Florida, I was grateful for that.
Yeah, washer and dryer, that's a big deal to have.
As the father of 4 who does 3 loads of laundry every day, yeah,
Exactly.
perfect. I might rent it out and just come over and do some laundry.
So, Rodney, we're not in a position to make any motions or recommendations
No,
tonight.
this is
is
just
it?
discussion.
Just open discussion.
So
Yeah,
I'm
might as
just
well get to the
looking-
next one.
I think it's great.
Well, I'm just looking at the, Rodney's notations here. What is the relationship between Shift 4 LLC and Clump Management LLC?
Yeah, so it's actually being converted over to Clump, it'll be in Clump Management LLC's name here shortly.
Mhm.
Shift 4 LLC is actually owned by my son.
Yeah.
So, yep, it's actually, the house is currently in his name. And
Okay.
it's being switched over in the next 30 days or so probably to Clump Management's name, so, yep.
So what we asked them to do is provide the agreement to allow the application. Essentially, their son had to allow them to apply. That was provided as part of the application materials.
Yep.
Does that assume
Does
he's a-
any approval take effect once that transfer happens? Or does that not matter?
The special use permit doesn't depend on ownership.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Yeah, the special use permit is tied to the
Property.
property.
We
Thank you.
can go ahead, if you'd like to, go ahead and have, move on to the application. I don't have anything to do for the second item.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just start on, so the second one obviously is across the road, the 5297 South Whiteville property. So you granted us a special use permit back in 2022 for this property to do agritourism style events out there. We've been conducting those ever since, doing things like you pick sunflowers, cut flowers, different things like that out there. Some other agricultural style events and stuff, bringing people out to the farm. We had some things that like community events, like the Art Reach come out with a Kids and Culture Day and those kind of things and stuff out there. So we've been trying to interact with the community a little bit, bring some people out to the farm and do those kind of things. So what we're looking to do, we just want to expand on where we're at. We're really limited on what that original special use allowed us to do. So the things the new special use would incorporate for us would be the use of the existing barn there. It wasn't in our first plan to actually utilize that barn for the public's use. So we'd like to open up that barn as essentially a venue for the barn there, make it a multi-purpose space and a venue. We'd also like to add a couple of pavilions. So one big pavilion you'll see on there right out back of the barn, and then also another pavilion out in the orchard. And those are both the things for, you know, for gatherings or other events like the cutting of flowers, and they have, you know, people come out and do bouquets and these kind of things. It's nice to have like a pavilion out there to get under in the field and stuff like that. So a couple of pavilions on there. Obviously expansion of a parking area, a gate and stuff in the front. We really need to kind of gate this off. So hours of operation, we'd have a gated entry and stuff. We get a lot of people, just kind of nosy people, and then they end up tooling around way back in places they shouldn't, you know. So we really have to get a gate out there to be able to close this off. And then the adding of doing a winery, brewery, and distillery permit to go along with the space. So that'd be a separate building where the production of that would be located in a tasting room. So we're looking for the tasting room permit to be attached to that as well. So we started planting grapes in the property probably, I don't know, 4 years ago or so, probably 4 or 5 years ago. We have 4 acres of orchard and stuff out there now. We have apple trees, peach trees and stuff. We're growing a lot of those kind of same things right there on that location in that farm. We also have honeybees, honey production out there and stuff as well. And then we also operate a farming operation right there in Isabella County as well. So we grow a lot of other things. So we're kind of trying to get this full circle of using the things that we're growing, kind of a sustainable agriculture model, and be able to pull this stuff back into a winery, brewery, distillery, and then be able to offer just our own spirits, you know, on site, tasting room and events and those kind of things out there. So that's probably the biggest of all the asks that are on there, of the biggest change we'd like to make. I think that covers kind of, you know, in a nutshell. I mean, it's all in your packets. I think our packet, like you said, Rodney said, I believe the drawings are pretty much done. There were just some operational things that we were going to put together yet, fine tuning, like hours of operation. Before hours of operation, I think, ended at like 6 o'clock, I want to say, in our last special use permit. We'd like to extend the hours of operation, obviously, with these new events and stuff we'd like to do. So we're kind of trying to put that into a operational plan when we come back with the final plan to present that to you on what that might look like. So.
Do you have a head guess at how late you thought you'd be trying to push till? 9 p.m.?
Yeah, you know, I think there's going to be a situation where it's like general operating hours will be like maybe around 9 o'clock, and then we may have like an ask for like special events to go till midnight. You know, so if we have a special event there on occasions, or a Saturday or something, to be able to go till midnight in that operation. but on just the daily, probably pushing it till 9 o'clock, operating hours, what we're looking at doing, so.
Just remember the 10 PM noise ordinance, right, Rodney?
We do have that address, yes.
Yes, and we talked about that too, as far as, that's gonna be in there as far as like decibel ratings and things at different maybe locations on the farm and, our property lines and those kind of things. And the nice thing about it is we actually own 80 acres that's there that sits on, I think we own roughly, I don't know, probably 350 acres or something in that section. So we own a pretty big chunk of that section, and we just bought the house across the road. There's a good chance we may own some more property right there too. We're not.
So the neighbors are really good.
Yeah, we're trying to. Yeah, we're trying to be really nice to the neighbors. The neighbors that we've all talked to are very supportive of what we want to do. In fact, when we were doing the sunflowers and stuff like that, when they were out there doing them, the girls, a ton of people were coming up and asking for things like that. Like, hey, you guys should open a winery, or I wish you had more things to do here. Or, can we do events up in your barn? And all these questions are being asked. That a lot of it was the neighbors and stuff around there because they were there a lot. Doing the things that we had, so I think we have pretty good support. I think if we did the open meeting, I wouldn't anticipate too many people showing up, that are against it, but that's kind of what we're looking for, so.
Rodney, is there precedent for this commission to do a field trip for something like this?
You want to do a field trip right now to see it? Or
well, it's dark now, and I don't want to make too much noise too late, but I think it would be interesting to, every time I'm in these meetings, I think, these are really cool things. I'd like to go see it in person.
So yes, absolutely. If you as a commission would like to go out and see the site as it is now, you can get a tour around.
Yeah.
If you want to do it as a group, where you have a quorum of members present, potentially,
Right.
we have to give notice. We just put notice that there's going to be a group of commissioners doing this thing at this location on this day and time, and no business will be done. That's just an open meetings act item. We certainly can do it. So if you're interested in that, we can see if we can set it. Is that something that you'd be comfortable with?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a problem. We can wait till after the winery's open. Might be a lot
That's a different
tour.
It's also true, correct, that any one of us can go out to a site at any time and walk it. In fact, I mean, frequently I do that if I'm not really familiar with the site.
Yes, absolutely.
Typically, you don't. When you do that, though, typically you don't see the owner, and so you're just walking the site and visually inspecting what's out there.
Now, the key to this site
so
is
if you see Phil out in the field, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. So this is an active farm, so I'm not sure.
I'm
I
not.
recommend
yeah,
this.
I'm familiar enough with this site that it wouldn't be one that I would
Sure.
specifically be walking around. But
Yeah, and if anybody wants to come out, personally or one by one, I mean, I think my cell number may be in the packet. I'm not sure. I mean, they can certainly get a hold of me, and you're more than welcome to come out, or we can give you a tour one-on-one, individually, or whatever.
So this is what I would suggest. You certainly can go one-on-one. And what I would suggest is want to be careful of what's called ex parte communication.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely, you don't really need a guided tour. You were walking through someone else's farm. You need to have somebody there to walk you around. But just you want to be careful about the communication that happens there. Listen, learn, and come back and have a conversation here.
Because any direct communication with somebody that has a proposal like this in front of them can be viewed as a little too close.
It's definitely something, but we certainly, we can arrange it as a group. So if, I will say this, maybe what we do at this point is, if you're interested in going as a group, those that are interested, just let me know. Send me an email tomorrow. We can work with the applicant and pin down a day and time that works for everybody. And we'll set that up for you.
copy the entire commission so everybody is aware of what's going on and can indicate their availability, sign up if they want, and so on.
So that, if we do it that way, like I said, then we put the notice on the building and the open meetings act item dealt with, and everybody gets the same information.
Yeah.
So,
let me ask a question. So, first of all, I think the concept is wonderful. It looks great. It really looks like something that would be an asset to the community. If you are successful with the winery, brewery, distillery, you basically now have an alcohol license. Would you be holding events there where there would be greater consumption than just sampling? In other words, is there a concern about people leaving inebriated and driving away?
Sure. It was actually something that we brought up. We had a discussion with Rodney and Peter, a couple different ones actually, that we met, and the way we're gonna handle that is if we be able to provide that, say that somebody comes in and has an event, they wanna have their anniversary party there or something, set something up, and they want alcohol, we're not gonna let people just come in and bring coolers of alcohol to consume on our property. So what we wanna do is be able to provide that alcohol as a service, and then we'll have licensed bartenders that will be there, and we will be the ones serving the alcohol, no different than like a bar would essentially. So that way the licensed bartenders know when to cut people off, they can keep control of the alcohol and those kind of things on the site, and not just let it be kind of a free-for-all, if you will, for people coming and going. So that's for a lot of reasons. Number one, our liability. We don't want people, you know, having too many there and then going out and driving, those kind of things. If we have control of the alcohol on the site, that's really gonna help, I think, reduce those kind of concerns, and that was a concern we had too, and that's why, by allowing us to do it this way, you know, versus not having the permit, then, you know, people would be able to, the only option they would have would be kind of a bring your own kind of thing, where they could consume themselves, but this would be no different than, you couldn't show up to, say, Bucks Run and rent their room, but you want to bring in your own coolers of beer or something to consume, right? So you'd have to purchase that and be served that by, you know, our people. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I'm just going to ask, because I'm interested, what kind of grapes have you planted?
Oh man, you're asking the wrong person, but we have several. Yeah.
Are any of those ones that would lead to reds?
Yes.
Okay, because you go up to Grand Traverse, and of course there's all these wineries up there and so on. But I get the impression that they really struggle with the reds. That it seems like mostly they grow white wine grapes because of the climate or whatever. But I just feel like we need more red wine grapes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we started quite a few years ago, you know, doing plantings and stuff, and doing more plantings, and then doing more plantings again this year. So we've been trying to build it up, and we can obviously buy other grapes in and be able to make more production and stuff until we get ours up to the capacity we need. But we've been trying to plant different varieties and stuff all along, and the same thing with the other fruits out there. You know, we have different kinds of apples and peaches and pears and those kind of things. So.
What kind of distillery products are you looking at?
Yeah, so just your main stuff like a vodka, a gin, those kind of things that are pretty easily distilled spirits and stuff that are easy for kind of mixing drinks, you know? Mm-hmm. So you could offer those kind of mixed drinks as well, so that way you kind of have a full bar, if you will. You could have a beer, a wine, and maybe, you know, a vodka with a mixed drink or something, you know, so.
I noticed on the plan here there's a couple different portions of a location for portable restrooms. Would those be portable restrooms that are there like extraneously, like going forward, or those just pulled out for events? I'm just kind of wondering what the pull is. Like, you got this really great, nice event barn, market proposal right there, and then 4 porta potties like right next door.
Yep. So there's going to be in the designs of the barn. There's restrooms up in the barn. In the design plans we have, so there's restrooms up there, and then obviously in the new winery distillery, there's restrooms located inside there as well. It just, when we have bigger events like outside in that pavilion and those kind of things, that's when the portable restrooms, we have an area designated. Rodney and Peter want to make sure we have lots of restrooms for the number of people that we have. Okay. So we have, yes, those are the additional ones that we would bring in for those larger events as well. Yep.
They might be kept off otherwhere on the farm and then pulled out for those events.
Yes, just when we need them, or have them spotted there when we need them on a big event. But I think most of the time with the restrooms we'll have inside the barn and inside the winery, we're going to have plenty of restrooms to accommodate, unless we have some bigger events going.
300-person wedding, maybe you whip them out.
Sure.
Yep. The other thing to keep in mind, I'm speaking on a turn here, I'm pretty sure about this one. These are not porta potties, correct?
Yeah, they're going to be nicer.
Yeah, there's some really luxury.
There's different tiers you can move up to when it comes to those guys.
Yep, exactly. Yep, that's more what we're trying to do. Like I said, we don't want to have just a the turnout of a porta potty.
I was looking at the aesthetic
Yes,
of this,
sure,
beautiful
yes.
designs and beautiful scapes, and then I'm like,
Yeah, those,
Yes.
the ones that they bring in for these kinds of events, they're very nice.
Nice.
Very, very well pointed and easy to work with.
yeah, great. That was my own.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I assume with this growth, you're gonna be adding more staff to help with that.
Yes, oh yeah, it's definitely gonna create jobs, for sure. You know, we're gonna need, create quite a few jobs over there, I think, so. We don't have a total count on it, but that'll be in our operational plan and stuff, but, it's definitely gonna create jobs for the area, so.
What is your construction timeline once approvals are?
Yeah, so the first thing we're gonna do, kind of, obviously phase this out a little bit, but the first thing will be start construction on the barn. We've got engineered drawings up to the point of, getting the engineer stamp on them. We got the drawings pretty well done. We'll finish the drawings, get permits, and then we'll get to construction on the barn, basically installing the restrooms inside the barn, bringing it all up to code electrical wise and all those things to be able to access and utilize, the barn first and foremost. That'll be kind of the first phase, and then obviously adding parking lot, space that we need and those kind of stuff. And then as we move out back, the next things would be, the winery distillery building, and then the pavilion, the other, we're gonna kind of phase it out just a little bit. But we would like to get started on the barn, as soon as we can, construction season here, to get that up and operational as a first and foremost, so.
So will the barn be an event location in and of itself before these other buildings?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, we'd like to get that up and going, so we could obviously start having some revenue coming in from the, renting the barn out and having things there at the barn, and be able to use the inside space there, so.
Do you keep any animals?
So we have, not on this property or this outlined area, but
Mhm.
in the far back corner of this 80-acre parcel, there's, private horses that we have back there. We have horses in the back of this, on this 80 acres, but that's the only animals we have, so.
Yeah. I guess I'm just trying to, like I said, I like it. It sounds nice. I'm wondering how much of this, and maybe it's just that's where the money is, but I wonder if it's going to head off in a direction of becoming more of a, I don't know how the right words to use. There must be people out there, when you say agritourism, they actually want to go to something and be like on a farm and do kind of farmy stuff. I wonder if this new stuff seems less farmy and more kind of like high end, entertainment-y type stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'm just curious. Can you do both, or are you heading to a different niche?
No, I think, we're trying to combine that, and I think we wanna do some farm to table dinners and things out there as well, and do those out in the orchard, like the pavilion we're gonna put out in the orchard, and be able to have people come in and do some farm to table style things, bringing that, the farm stuff, back to it. But I think you're 100% right. That's where I think too, the Airbnb across the road, if somebody did wanna come in, and spend the day there, doing some things, and have some place to spend the night. If they went to the, winery, then they're gonna probably get a hotel somewhere there anyway, right? So they'd have that to be able to stay across the road, those kind of things, to be able to offer more and more of a package to people as they go,
Yeah, I'd say
Bringing more people into the community and.
Yeah, exactly. I think it used to be something else for this community to be able to do too, right? I don't think we don't have anything like this anywhere around here, especially in Union Township, so.
I did have a couple questions. Is the barn new, or was this barn existing a long time ago and you've just, because these pictures look really nice, so
Yeah.
is it a new barn?
Yeah,
or-
no, it's not a new barn.
Okay.
It would have been cheaper to build a new barn. But, yeah, no, it's not. It's a really old barn.
Do you know how old?
Yeah, well, the cement in the basement was poured in 1960, but the barn was already built then. I think it was in the 40s, in the 1940s somewhere. Herb Hill is what the old owner of the original builder of the barn. It's called the Hill Farm. If you know any farmers around the countryside, they refer to it as the Hill Farm. And there used to be an old farmhouse out front, so we bought the property. There was an old really bad farmhouse out front. The barn was pretty tattered shape. We went in and cleaned the house all up, cleaned everything up. There was junk all over. We cleaned the whole farm up, then we went into the barn. We basically structurally got the barn back in shape. We repainted it. We did a lot of things to get it up to date along with the farm. Then we started planting all the orchards and vineyards and all this stuff out there the last few years. Well, my wife's been doing the U-pick sunflowers and these kind of things there as well. We built a greenhouse just down the road to support our operations and stuff too. So we have a greenhouse essentially on site there now where we're growing our own plants and stuff in to be able to bring over to the farm. So we just keep adding on to it, expanding it, and hopefully making it a nicer place all the time. And so now we're to the point where to take this next step, I think, is to go here and get to the next level. So.
Do you see part of the old barn from the inside?
Yeah, so the whole top of that barn will be an event space up there. Yep, so the whole top of the old barn, and it's all, I don't know if there's probably no pictures in their packets of the barn, but it's all original old barn and stuff up in there. It's a really neat space, so I like to invite people out to be able to use that and have, different events and stuff inside the barn, so.
And this is a preliminary, right? So we get a different set of, because I was going to ask some other questions that I probably should just wait.
The plans you have are preliminary set plans. So
Okay.
So there will be a final set plan.
Okay. I think my only other one was, are you doing anything to the landscaping eventually, or are you keeping it like it is?
Yeah, there's definitely some.
I've not been there, so I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Sure. Yep. There's definitely some added things. So we're constantly, it's a working farm, right? So we're constantly planting more plantings. We're putting more grapevines and stuff, out back that we're going to keep adding. Right now we have like a perennial, it's like tulips in the front right now that only come up in the springtime. We are going to change that from just tulips because they only come up a certain time of the year. So we're going to actually change that to a bigger, like, perennial garden, which was spelled out in our original special use permit. We're going to get that so there's something out there year-round instead of just tulips. So yeah, there's definitely more changes and things coming on the road. We want it to be aesthetically pleasing, obviously, right? And that's the goal is to make it look nice, So
That's it for now.
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank you.
when's your first bottles getting ready?
Yeah. As soon as I get this little deal I need to sign.
How hard is it to get a liquor license for this sort of project?
Yeah, it's not that bad. I need to, basically we come to you for, the township has to sign off on essentially having the tasting room, the banquet facility there. And then there's a, 7 or 8 page application to the state of Michigan, and some fees assessed, and we get that, and then we register with the federal government for the taxes, essentially, for the liquor tax, and then that's it. I mean, if we get the approval here, we can certainly get the approval at the state level. Not a problem. Probably takes about 3 months from the time I'd get the approval here. We could probably have the approval to be able to have the license.
So just to add a little bit to that, the tasting room element does require, the state requires an action by our Board of Trustees to basically support the application, to show support or not for it. And so what we've talked about is that this special use permit would need to be dealt with first, and then if you approve the special use permit, we'll put that tasting room element on the board agenda for their action, based on your approval of the special use side of it. So, our board has supported this kind of thing. For the microbrewery over in Isabella Road, they had a similar action they took. There's been 2 or 3 that they've taken action on in the last few years. So, and I agree. This kind of permit is pretty easy to get at the state level because they want to see these happen. This means more local operations, local activities. So it's definitely a good thing.
Okay. I think we'll look forward to the special use
Thank you.
permit hearing then.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so those were our 4 new business items. And is there any other business that needs to come before us tonight? Okay, if not, then we'll have extended public comment. This is the portion of the meeting where individuals are invited to address the planning commission on any item, whether it's on tonight's agenda or not. If you want to do so, if you're in the room, come to the podium, give us your name and address for the minutes, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. If you're online, raise your hand or otherwise make your presence known, and we will make it so that you can speak. So extended public comments open at 9:19.
Good evening. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about being online. In fact, I sent in a comment. I was online for one of your meetings. I was actually traveling and had it up on my phone. I don't know if I did something wrong or if you just can't raise your hand. But I kept trying to get somebody to acknowledge that I wanted to speak, and the entire meeting went through and I wasn't able to do that. So I don't know if it's an issue because you're trying to do it on a cell phone, if it's an issue that the site was having, if it's an issue because I'm old and I don't do things like that well. But I had also, there's comments, and I had sent a comment in asking for help with that, and I hadn't heard back.
Did you send a comment in through the website?
Yes,
Okay. When did you do that?
2 meetings ago.
But you used our comment form on our website?
Not a, no, there's a comment,
Comment, oh, through Zoom?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Those disappear at the end of the Zoom call.
Yeah, unfortunately, those don't get,
None of those meetings, anything that's done in a Zoom is gone by the end of the meeting. Anything need to be submitted to the website.
but that's a good thing to know as well. that we need.
But-
I appreciate the comment, because that's
Yeah.
something we'll look into and see if we can find out what's going on with that.
With the hotel discussion the other week, though, we had people online who were raising their hands. So some people must have had, I wonder if it's a cell phone issue more than
Yeah, and I
a
don't know.
laptop or something.
That's what I was just hoping somebody would help me with.
Do you think maybe you could have someone go on the phone with you next time you need to pull it up so you can see if it's, user error or something like that? Because we do have people come up and able to raise their hand and call for issues before, so.
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful opportunity, so you're gonna have to forgive me, but, I think that maybe it's just your old. Sorry. You gave me grief earlier, so I'm gonna give it back to you. You're just old, sorry.
If you ever send a message or don't get a return call, call the front office.
Okay.
Because Tara and I will return your call.
Yeah, no, I had mentioned something to Peter when I was in.
If you're not hearing back,
Yeah.
call
But-
Tara or I, or shoot us an email.
But I just hoping that somebody can show me if I was doing something wrong, this is what you did wrong. If it just doesn't work with a cell phone, then I know next time I have to stop and be on my computer.
I think what we'll do is we'll open the meeting up, and we'll do some.
We'll look into
we'll
it.
do a
I'll talk to
test
Tara
and
tomorrow.
See what's
Yep.
going on with
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you, that was it.
it. Excellent.
Thank you. I wish we could just go back to issuing people Dixie cups and some string. Those things are pernicious. All those things. They're weird. All these stuff. Anyway, any other public comments?
I have nothing on mine.
Okay.
They're trying.
Well, unfortunately, we don't know if there's some poor old guy on there with a cell phone who's trying to get through, and we can't get him. All right. Okay. Well, we thank the public for their comments. We'll go ahead and close that back up at 9:23. Final board comment. Any comments from board members?
Just one thing I want to say. I know this meeting was a long meeting and everybody has questions, and as everybody's going through their different proposals, it can take time. I noticed that while some board members were raising questions, I was seeing a lot of movements from certain people in the audience bemoaning or taking time, rolling their eyes. I just ask that maybe if whoever is still in view of the people here, have respect for the people and the board members that are raising questions if it's not your time at the docket. We try to respect everybody's time. So I know as it gets later in the day, we can all be looking at our clock, but let's please give everybody's questions the same, I guess worth or value, respect you would if you were the one up at the podium. That was it.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. We have completed our agenda. So enjoy the rest of April and the first part of May, and we'll be back here for our May meeting in about 4 weeks.
And we're keeping part of our pack.